Hello readers, it's Mrs. Saul. I'm here with another story for you. Today we are going to continue talking about how readers make connections when they read. So far we have learned that readers can make text to self connections. They can make text to text connections. And today we're going to talk about a third kind of connection that readers can make. And that is a text to world connection. That is when a reader, or you, when you're a reader, when you read something and it sounds like something maybe you heard on the news, or maybe you heard your parents tell you about that happened in the world. So that is a text to world connection. It's not really something that happened to you, but it might be something that happened to somebody else. Probably someone you don't know that it happened to. So I have a story for you today, and I want you to listen while I read and listen to how I am noticing some text to world connections. Okay, now remember, the connections that I have with a book may not be the same that you have with a book. So if you hear me reading today and hear me making connections, you might think, oh, I was thinking of something else. And that's okay, because everyone is different. So maybe while I'm reading this book, you'll think of other things that Mrs. Saul isn't thinking of, okay? So I want you to think about your connections that you're having too when you hear our story today. So the book I'm going to share today is called The Breaking News, and this was written and illustrated by Sarah Lynn Rule. The Breaking News. It looks like these kids are standing in front of a television, and it looks like the way these words are, these kind of look the way the words look when something is important is being told on the news. So I'm wondering what the breaking news is. I don't think it means something got broken. I think it means this is a brand new news story. Something just happened, and the news is just telling us about it. So let's find out what the breaking news is. Here we go. Don't forget to listen for a shout out, because I might say your name. All right, so here we go. I'm going to look on the end pages here now. I'm going to give you a little close-up. Look at the characters' faces. They look a little bit worried to me, or concerned. I'm wondering if the breaking news is not good news. Let's find out. The breaking news. I remember when we heard the bad news. So it looks like this family is, oh, they're sitting at the table, and it looks like they are planting, doing some planting, putting a plant into a pot. They have dirt and a shovel, so they're planting some things. Oh, and there's more plants over here. Looks like Dad is having some coffee. Oh, and the news is on. I think this is maybe when these kids, I'm not sure who's telling the story yet, but I think these kids are remembering what they were doing when they heard the bad news. Sometimes when we hear bad news, good news, any news, we remember exactly where we are or were when it happened. Oh, there's no words on this page, friends. That doesn't mean that I shouldn't look at the page. The author put this page here, an illustrator, because they want me to look at it, even though there's no words. So let's look closely. What happened? It's almost the same picture as here. The family is all together. They're planting things. They look pretty happy. It's almost the same picture, but let's look at their faces now. Oh. So look, Mom and Dad now are looking at the television, and it looks like there's a news reporter, and it says breaking news. And look at the children's faces, especially her. She looks really worried. So does Dad and Mom. I think they're just hearing the news. I wonder what it is. Suddenly, Mom is glued to the television. Dad can't stop checking his phone. So again, if we look at these faces here, I can see that they look very worried. The mom looks really upset. The dad looks worried. Friends, I'm having a text to world connection right now because this is reminding me of back in March when we first found out that school was going to be closing and we were going to have to teach at home. Mrs. Saul felt a little like the mom right here. I was feeling really sad, and I was also feeling like the dad because I was feeling worried too. So, oh my goodness, look, I had a text to world connection and a text to self connection because I know how these characters are feeling. But like I said, it's reminding me of when I heard about school closing and all about how people were getting sick from the coronavirus. They whisper and I pretend not to hear. Oh, so the adults are whispering. Sometimes kids or parents don't want their kids to worry, so they talk about things quietly because they don't want to worry the children. I think this girl is the one telling our story because the brother doesn't seem like he's noticing as much. She looks a little older to me, though that's probably accurate. It is more than a little scary. You know, I know that my niece, I have a niece, her name is Madison, it's my sister's daughter, and she was a little scared when she first heard about the coronavirus. She was afraid that she might get sick, so she was really worried. Maybe that's why this little girl is feeling worried. Maybe she's worried that something's going to happen to her or her family. We still don't know what the news is, though. But this book is really reminding me of when the coronavirus first started coming to the United States. Mom forgets to tuck me in. Dad is too tired for bedtime stories. Well, now I'm sure it's the girl telling the story because she's saying Mom is forgetting to tuck her in. It looks like she's taking care of the little brother. And Dad, look, he's too tired to even read her a story. Wow, they must be really worried about what's going on, her parents. It seems like everyone else feels it too. So in this picture, the girl is getting on the bus. It looks like she's probably going to school. And everybody's looking kind of sad. Do you see all their faces? They're kind of, you know, looking around, looking sad and worried. So I guess everybody knows the news. At school, my teacher says to look for the helpers. Even when the news is bad, you can still find good people trying to make things better in big and small ways. I'm having another text to world connection. Text to the world. Because this is reminding me of how I was telling Gavin about how, remember he's my son, about how even though there were so many people getting sick in the beginning from the coronavirus, that we should look at the nurses and the doctors and all of the people who are helping the people who were sick try to get better. I want to help in a big way. Here I'm having a connection with this little girl because I felt like I wanted to help. What could I do? When all of those doctors and nurses were working all those long hours and trying to help all those people, I felt so bad for them and I wanted to help. I did find a way to help in a small way. I actually purchased some Crocs, nursing Crocs, which are a type of shoes. You might have heard of Crocs before, but nurses and doctors wear them in the hospital. They're like kind of, because they're made of plastic, they can be easily cleaned. So I actually purchased a pair of those and sent them to a local hospital for one of the nurses or doctors to use. So I tried to help in a little way. Since I was home and I had to stay in my house, I tried to do something. So I felt like this little girl here. I decide to put on the funniest show ever to make everyone laugh again. But the grown-ups don't feel like laughing. Yeah, sometimes adults worry a lot. Yep, kids worry too, but sometimes adults worry even more than kids. So she tried to cheer up her family and make them laugh, but they're so worried that nothing's making them laugh right now. We still don't know what the breaking news is, do we? I wonder if we're gonna find out. I tell them about the force fields I'll invent to keep us all safe. But their smiles are tiny and sad. So here's another idea she had. She said, I'm gonna invent something to protect our whole family to keep us safe. I try to be on my best behavior all the time, to be so good, but they hardly even notice. This girl's really trying to help her family out. She's trying to cheer them up. She's trying to make good choices so that she doesn't upset or worry her family even more than they already are. That's very nice of her. I think maybe there is nothing I can do to help in a big way. I feel small. I'm having a connection with this girl again too, because even though I bought those shoes to send to the hospital, I still didn't feel like I really did so much. So then I bought a sign to put in my yard that said, "Thank you, healthcare workers." And I felt a little better, but I still felt like I'm just one little person. And I know that the money from the sign went to buy lunch to the people who worked in the hospital, but I still felt like I didn't do very much. Sometimes it's hard to help in a big way, especially when you're a kid. So maybe I can try to do just one small thing. So look, like me, she's decided I'm gonna do small things. So first she's starting by watering the plant. I think that's the plant that they had planted in the beginning of the story. I did notice on this page that this plant wasn't looking so good. So I guess she thought, well, I can help by watering the plant, keeping it alive. And maybe another, she's reading to her brother, and another, she's playing with her dog, and one more, she's opening the curtains to let in some light. So she's doing a whole bunch of small things. This is really like what Mrs. Saul did to try to help during the coronavirus quarantine when we all had to stay home. Small things don't solve everything. The bad news is still there after all. Look how she decided to make the outside world look all gray like this. Again, I'm having a text to world connection because that's kind of how I felt. I felt like the only safe place to stay was in my house, and I felt a little nervous about going out at first. Now I feel more comfortable and I wear my mask and I use lots of hand sanitizer. But in the beginning, when this all first started, I did feel a little bit like the world outside was kind of gray, kind of uncomfortable, kind of like, I don't really think I want to go out there. Maybe some of you felt like that too. But then again, oh look, it looks like her mom is starting to smile a little bit. So, oh, look how the author is using those dot, dot, dot. Remember that from the book with no pictures? We talked about that. That's when the author wants me to kind of drag out my sentence. So the bad news is there after all. But then again, so, oh, I see more smiles. Are they planting again? That's true. The bad news is still out there, but so are we. Even though we're still trying to be careful, we're still trying to be safe during the coronavirus, I think that, and even though it's still going on and it's around us, we're still here. And we are still doing the best we can and taking little steps to try to make every day better and safer for everybody, not just our family, right? Oh, it looks like the world is brightening up a little bit. You know, I think that's gonna happen soon. I hope really soon, but we don't know for sure. That's the end. So friends, we never heard, this book never told us what actually the breaking news was. We don't know what bad thing happened in this book, but like I said, it really made me think of the whole coronavirus crisis and what's going on since March, right? I don't know if it made you think of that. Maybe it made you think of something else you heard on the news. Oh, there go the lights again. I have to figure out some way to get these lights to stay on. I need somebody to dance on the table to make the lights stay on in the room. So I hope you enjoyed this, and we're gonna talk for a minute about text-to-world connections. So I'm gonna turn the lights on and then we'll look at our chart. Be right back. Did you see the lights come on? Okay, so I'm gonna turn you and I gotta move you down, sorry, just a little bit so you can see. So I'm gonna be a little squishy, but okay, so far we have talked about text, let me fix this, text to self connections. That's a connection between a book or a text and your own life. We've talked about text to text connections. That's a connection between one text and another. And today we're talking about text to world connections, which I forgot to write down here, but that means a connection between a text and the real world. Okay, that's what that means. So I have some sentence starters for us. So if you're ever reading your book and you are thinking, wow, this is like what happened in the real world. This is like real life. So here is one thing you could use. It says, this is like something I heard on the news. That would be a good way to share your thinking about your connection with the world. Here's another one. This is like the real world because... So this is another way you can start to share your connection. Remember, readers share their thinking. Think about it yourself or share with someone who's near you when you're reading, okay? Your parents would be so proud of you if they heard you say, Mom, Dad, I have a connection. So don't be afraid to share. This one says, this makes me think about. Now, this whole book, I use that a lot. This makes me think about when we heard the news about the coronavirus. Yeah, so that's another sentence starter you can use if you are having a text to world connection. Can you see that one? Okay, so friends, good job today. And I wanna give a special shout out today to Amelia. Amelia, I hope you're having a great day and you enjoyed our story. And happy reading, my friends. Don't forget to make connections when you read. I'll see you later. Bye.